Hi there, gang. Dr. J, Steve Jensen, and guess what? Today is 3 o'clock. Wednesday is for implementation. How you been going? How have you been going with the module 1 and all the other modules, which I'm sure you have been playing around with? Today, what we're going to be doing is going to be covering module 2. Now, all of you know about module 2. Hope you got it all printed out, all good to go. And what I want to do today is take you through a bit of a journey on some of the hard skills, which will then be eventually combined with your soft skills. One of the big challenges is saying, well, what comes first, the hard skills or the soft skills? What we've tried to do successfully in the Sales Authority Implementation Program is combine the two, but not too much soft skills. Some of the triggers that we're going to teach you in module 2 absolutely are gold, because what they do is get you ready to present effectively using some of the ideas of the trigger points to make it easy to get people to go to the next stage, which is usually to buy something. So I'm going to be sharing with you my screen, and we're going to go through module 2, chapter 1. It's a great chapter, and it's a little bit of homework to do, as you probably have experienced if you've already done it. Now, the reason we're doing these little implementation programs and training is to get you to go back to them. Once is never enough, and sometimes it's always good to go back and sharpen your axe again. So what I'll do now is I'll share my screen, and then we'll get cracking on our module. Okay, I'm sure you can see it. All good to go. All right, now, how people buy. How do people buy? It's a good question, isn't it? Well, people buy emotionally and justify it logically. Well, that's easy to say, but how do you do it? In module 2, what we're going to do is we're going to cover some absolute gold, which is the foundations of everything you do. Now, in module 1, we did the planning. We got your numbers right. Hopefully, you've got everything set, some KPIs, and a few things that excite you to drive those KPIs. So that's done in the past. If you haven't done that yet, go back in some of the things in the Facebook group and review some of the videos, or just watch your Sales Authority Implementation Program. Now, let's just get into chapter 1. Chapter 1 is all about making sure you're understanding that selling has changed. People like to do business with people that are experts, but you've got to build enough rapport to prove that you're an expert. We can never succeed in selling as if we're just all about the close. And that no one wants to do business with anybody that's, just a salesperson that's just wanting to make the sale. We all know that, and it's awkward at best if we actually are that type of person. So we go from this mentality of selling to helping. Now, sure, we've got all our targets. Sure, we've got our budgets, and we have to achieve them, and we have to make profit. But nothing happens in business unless there's a sale. But how we do the sale is everything. So we have a really competitive market, and especially how the world is changing on a day-to-day basis. We have to evolve, and selling has changed, even in the last 6 months. So we've got to maneuver and so forth. And, we've just put a program together called the Sales Pivot, where a lot of you guys and girls are looking at presenting online. And we're going to be introducing that in a not too distant future. We've successfully been doing in the Sales Authority Club, where we do our training, and we're going on and off page on Zooms and all those sorts of things. So if you'd like to join, let us know. The next part of what we want to do now is understand there are triggers involved. Now, you would have done this if you've already done this in module 2, but let's just recap it a little bit. Price, value, convenience, and quality. Now, these are things that we talk about readily, but do we actually use them properly? Now, you've got to have a competitive price, but you don't have to be the cheapest in the marketplace. And if you are the cheapest in the marketplace, you've got to sell people that you are the most economical. Cheap comes with nasty. Now, price is something that people are, have to sometimes drop. Now, I'm not a big fan of that. I think it's more important to do other things. Now, we've got other things such as convenience. Convenience, is it convenient? And this day and age, we are so busy, aren't we? We've got social media, we've got emails on our phone and all that stuff. And it sometimes becomes difficult to get everything done. But convenience is the new holy grail, other than building enough rapport and commonality. Now, the next thing is, Do you have quality? Do you have a quality? Is your product quality? So there's, yes, we have a quality product. It's competitive in the marketplace. Great. Well, people should buy it, shouldn't they? Or should they? Well, there's a thing called value. We talk about it regularly, but do we really know how to create value? We could tell them it's worth it. And, you could try to convince someone to buy. And I don't believe you can ever sell anybody anything. They've got to make the decision to buy. So one of the most important parts of this is creating enough rapport so you can find out the truth. But there's a big but. Is there value? So how do we create value? But the question I'll ask you to start off with is, what sequence does it come in? Let's just go back to the screen and actually talk about that, because is it price? Is it value? Is it convenience? Or is it quality? Well, let me just tell you now, really simple. What we have to make sure we do at the very get-go, after we build enough rapport to find out the truth, is to make sure there is value. Value in your conversation, value in spending your time or their time with you, and then value in spending money with you, exchanging money and time to use your product or service. The next thing is convenience. It is the holy grail, and we'll recommend that you double pump this. When you ask it, is it convenient to use product or service or what we do? Can you use this? Can you get there? Can you attend? And if they say yes, I say, are you sure? And making sure you do a double pump on that, so it's really quite, I don't want you to buy product or service you're not going to use it. So take it away a little bit. We call it double pump. And that should be done throughout the initial contact through qualification and even on your explanation and demonstration or tour. The last thing is, the last two is quality. Now, you write this down, please. Get your trusty pen out and write this down. You have to prove that you have a quality product or service and it works. We call it proofing. Proving what you say is true. We can only move at the speed of trust. So proof is a really important criteria, and we'll teach you how to do that a little bit later on in the modules. And then we have good old price. Now, the price is all matched up to the quality, the convenience, and also the value. If the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of spending money or giving their precious time to you, then you'll usually have a decision. So let's move forward. There are some triggers that you really need to include in your sales. Now, we recommend that you have a minimum of 2 of the 5 must-dos. If you can have all 5, terrific, but it's unlikely you'll have all 5. You can save time. Again, it comes down to that convenience, double pump. Make money. Yeah, well, if I can spend this money and make some money, that's terrific. What's the ROI, the return on investment? The next one is reduce costs. They might spend more now, but when you buy the expensive one, the good one, the one that fits, you only cry once. When you buy the cheap one, you cry a million tears. So sometimes when you save a little bit and get the better one, there's less chance of it breaking down or having to go back and buy something later on down the track. So it becomes more costly in time, costly in money. Stress, worry, concern, frustration, that is a big deal. If you can reduce people's stress and, let's say, frustration, that's a holy grail in itself. And not being by yourself. Everyone says we have great customer care and we're going to be by your side, but do you really do it? That's a proofing mechanism. Now, we recommend you have a minimum of 2. So this is a part of the qualification modality. And then your proofing modality, that you can prove what you said is true. So write down a few things now. Do you save time? Do you have to make money? Do you reduce their costs? Now, it don't have to be the cheapest. But if they make a good decision and buy your product or service, which is top shelf, it reduces the stress or worry that it breaks down or you have to do it again. I remember many years ago, a friend of mine had a knee reconstruction, and he decided to go to a doctor that wasn't super expensive, but was good. But the problem was he didn't have all the experience, and the doctor that he was going to go to was extremely expensive. So he opted for the cheaper one. All these Story is, it didn't fare well for him. He then had to go back and get more treatment and operations done. And after 4 operations later, the guy that fixed it was the guy that he would have initially got it to do it from the first place. What is your value equation? So what are we going to do about this? So write down, out of those 5, do you have 3? Do you have 2? Do you have 1? How do you do it? Make sure you've got an idea on how you actually prove what you're saying is true. Now let's go back to the screen. Once we've actually got this out of the way and we have our 5 and we are clear on what they do and how you can do it and how you can prove, we then need to go into, well, what's going to make the difference? Now we strongly recommend that you use a process called inking. I never knew that. You've got to teach people stuff that they don't know. Now, what did this do? This actually proves that you are an expert. You're going to tell them stuff that they might not know about fixing the problem. They might not be always about your product, but it shows that you are an expert. You know what you're talking about. You're not just a salesperson that's trying to get them to buy something and see, ta-ta. We recommend that you actually really get serious about writing things that say, hey, you might not know, and teach them something that they could avoid, that they might not know, that's something new, to shorten something, to save them time, to save them money, make them money, you might not know. And it doesn't always have to be about your product or service. It could be about something that they're doing that shows you that you have been around. And by the way, you don't have to have all this in your head. That's why we're suggesting you write them down, because you can continually add to this list. Adding the list of your inks to teach people stuff that they don't know will prove that you are an expert. So my recommendation here is in your book, in your notebook, you've got all of these wonderful things that we put in here. Yep, here it is on the page. You're going to write down things. High product knowledge is essential. Write down 3 things that would make your customer say, wow, I never knew that. And all of a sudden say, yeah, you should do this. You can do that. We can give you that. You can find this. How about I help you with that? See, get away from that selling mentality into the helping mentality. Now, this is a little exercise for today. I need you to really get serious about proving your value as an expert. People want to do business with people that are experts in their field. So the exercise here is making sure, you want to make sure that you are perceived as an expert and you can prove that you know what you're talking about. Teach them something new. Show them your product or service or outside of the square. Know your service, know their problem. Be a solution giver. And use some of those things called USPs. Now, we'll get to that a little bit later. That's called a unique selling point or position or product that you have. So your exercise now is to write down a number of these. Now, we'll suggest 3 to start off with. That's easy peasy. 3, I never knew that. And you could say, hey, you might not know this, or you might not know that, and teach them something that they don't know. Even when you're on the telephone, teach them stuff. And if you tell them stuff about stuff they don't know that's inside your product or service or outside, you say, how about I write that down? And I'll discuss it and show you a little bit more when we catch up or get together on Zoom, or we get together when I come to see you or you come to see me. That's called creating an action plan or a success plan. So in the training, it says, stop the video now and start completing your inks. Now, my recommendation is to get 5. We have 3 to make it really easy for you. But I would recommend it every day when you have your meetings together. Start coming up with an extra ink a week. So if you start with 5, by the end of the month, you'll have 10 or maybe 9. If other parts of your team members or other team members bring one along too, you're going to bring up and create a magnificent portfolio of stuff that you can teach people about your product or service, or a problem that many of your clients have that you can be the solution for. All right, gang, that's module 2, chapter 1. The job now is to put it into practice. If you've already done it, let's do it again. Now, remember, in module 1, we finished last week. Always do the quiz. Make sure the quiz is completed. And as we go through it again, like we're doing now, do it again. All right, guys, I'd love to see how you're going. Let us know if you have any questions. Pop them in the Facebook group and we can kick some goals. All right, gang. So thanks for joining me today. For those watching on replay, put some things into practice, doing and learning and doing those role plays. And once you've got these things in place, you say, hey, you might not know to one of your team members. Teach them something, what the benefit is, the thing they're going to get out of it. And guess what? People are going to see you as that expert that they want to do business with. All right, guys, look forward to catching up with you next week at 3 o'clock on Wednesday for coaching. Bye for now.